Welcome to The Movement, a podcast from the YMCA of Greater Kansas City. Here we share real stories of how our community connects through youth and family development, healthy living programs, and social responsibility campaigns. Our goal is to connect the Kansas City community to the people and stories shaping and building a stronger and better future. From early learning to teen leadership, from senior support to neighbors helping neighbors, this is where Kansas City comes together. You're listening to The Movement, the why, where Kansas City connects.
Welcome to The Movement, a podcast from the YMCA of Greater Kansas City, where we talk with people and partners who are helping strengthen our community. Today, we're talking about empathy, not just as a feeling, but as a skill that can build, practice, and turn into action. At the Y, we know that stronger communities begin when people feel seen and heard and understood, and sometimes that first step is learning what someone's daily life really looks like. That is the heart of the work of Just Like You Films. Their newest film, May Contain My Life, helps audiences understand the real experiences of children and families living with life-threatening food allergies. We also experience part of that story through virtual reality, stepping into a perspective many of us may not fully know. This is a conversation about empathy, awareness, and what it feels like and means to create a community where every child and family feels safe, included, and supported. Joining me are Mandi Kearns, Chief Operating Officer from Just Like You Films, and Genevieve Muncy, Senior Behavioral Health Director at the YMCA of Greater Kansas City. Mandi, Gina, welcome to The Movement.
Thank you for having us.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Thank you. We're going to get right into this, Mandi. So I want to start with the heart of the film. For someone who hasn't seen it yet, and we know that the red carpet day is coming soon. What is May Contain My Life really about, and even beyond food allergies?
So May Contain My Life is really bringing people inside what the really daily realities are of those living with food allergies. It's to help raise awareness to make them feel more included, more seen, for the people who don't truly understand it, who are lucky enough to not have to live it in their daily lives.
Yeah. And when you think about the children and families featured in the film, what do you hope people understand about their everyday lives?
That they are just like you.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And so Just Like You Films has this beautiful mission of creating kinder, more compassionate world through storytelling. Why is storytelling such a powerful way to build empathy?
Because when somebody actually sits and watches a story, when they watch the real realities of somebody's life, it takes them into a different meaning. They're able to actually feel something. When you feel something, that's when real change happens.
Yeah, things lock in, don't they? I mean,
they do,
actually,
sure.
They kind of grip your heart or whatever emotion that may be a part of that.
When they're able to tell the stuff that you maybe don't see when you live it, and when somebody lives what we'll call a normal life without a special circumstance or a unique circumstance, they're able to actually become in-depth and into their life, what it's like.
What happens when a child sees another child's story told honestly and respectfully like that? I mean, there has to be a connection, right?
For sure, for sure. I know that when people have seen it, they're like, oh, I didn't realize that's what he's really going through. Like, that's his real reality every single day, the things that I don't have to think about. I don't have to think about what I put in my mouth, what I touch. It's the real life.
Yeah. Food allergies are often invisible, as I understand.
They are.
And the risks are obviously very real. What do people often misunderstand about what kids and families are managing every day that have these food allergies?
Well, I think they don't understand. Like I was saying earlier, like you look at my son now, he's 6'5", 205. You would never guess that one little morsel of food could take him down. And it's that they have to mature faster. They have to be so much more aware of everything they do in their lives. And I think that's part of what people take for granted. Like, he can't just go to any restaurant and eat. When he's hungry and wants to go for fast food after football practice, he can't just stop anywhere. It has to be really thought out of what he can have and where to have it. But not only that, what he has for team dinners and just every daily it sounds ironic saying this, but every little step that any regular person takes for granted is his real life.
Yeah. I mean, living a life of intentionality seems a burden. Can you speak to that a little bit and just kind of break that down for me a little bit?
Yeah.
If it's a burden or not. I mean, I'm just asking that.
I mean, it definitely is a burden. Like, it's the stress of the daily life. Like, for me, being his mom, and now I have a daughter out in college, so it's a whole nother, like, she's now has an allergy too. It's the unknowns the burden of you're putting their lives in somebody else's hands. And that's hard, especially like when they go to school. When he first started school, it was scary. Like I would say a little prayer every day. I know it might sound silly, but it's true.
No, not at all.
I would just pray, like, please, let them take care of him and watch over him and help him to always feel included, because there were a lot of times in his daily realities that he wasn't. He would be told to go out into a hallway to watch a science experiment. And in hindsight, like yes, they're trying to keep him safe, but it's excluding him from actually being able to be a part of the experiment. So there is a lot of burden, but my goal as his mom has always been for him to not feel the burden.
Yeah.
I take that burden on.
Yeah.
And I feel like done a pretty good job of it. And I mean, our goal as a family has always been nothing will hold him back. So no matter what he does, we'll find a way to get him included. And we've done that in some YMCA activities, actually. But we've done it in everything in life that we can. We finally just came across our very first thing that we're not going to be able to keep him included in, but some things we've done our best all these years.
Sounds like you've cleared a pretty good path for him.
We have.
Wouldn't it be great if the whole community was willing to be that inclusive and think through, what is it like to make a world where everyone with their differences is involved and they're able to do those things?
There always is a way. Like there's always a way. There's small little changes you can tweak to help people feel included.
Absolutely.
And that's all. And it makes a world of difference in our lives. I mean, it makes us feel so amazing when somebody does a little tweak that helps.
Well, especially for kids, because their ultimate, goal is to be like their peers, to be like everyone else, to have that community space as they're learning to navigate all of those things. So to have something that, really separates you, but then have a community that says that doesn't separate you, like that's the goal.
Right. Exactly.
People have good intentions, right?
They do.
They do. And, sometimes people with those good intentions, they can still find themselves in a mix that doesn't quite come out on the positive for the kids, right? I mean, people want to do good. And so by the actions they're taking, it just may not be the right thing for the child.
I feel like a lot of times it's just not understanding it.
Yeah.
So we had early on, like somebody came up and said, like to one of my best friends, they're like, what's his deal? Like, is it really that bad? And my friend was like, yeah, he could die. Like from a little bit. It is that bad. It's that serious. And she's like, oh, I thought they were kind of being overreactive, like helicopter parents, because this is when they were really little. Like I thought she was exaggerating. And she's like, no, there's no exaggeration here. Like this is
not
real
a
life.
preference.
No,
this is not a choice.
Yeah.
I mean, he says all the time, he's like, if they want, they can have my food allergy.
Yeah.
I'll give it up easily.
One of the things that makes this conversation different is that we're not only going to talk about empathy, we're going to try to experience this, right? And Genevieve and I are going to try to this. It's just a small piece of someone else's reality. And we're going to put on these VR headsets or step into the part of the story. I'm excited about this early on. We were at Healthy Kids Day and I didn't get to put them on because all the kids were trying them on. So before we do that,
it was a long line.
Yeah, it was a long line. And I came back multiple times. But I'm just a big kid at heart too. But before we do that, Mandi, what should we really pay attention to? What should we notice when we have these headsets on? Not just with our eyes, but maybe emotionally as well.
Right. So, I mean, one of the amazing things, first of all, with the VR experience is everywhere we've taken it, we've had that same thing you said. The lines are long. We've had that every time we've taken it anywhere. The lines, everybody wants to get in this and experience it. One thing our VR film is a little bit unique because you can look one way and be in the shoes of the child who's living with food allergies. And if you look the opposite way, you're in the shoes of somebody who's trying to be a good friend, but they just kind of miss the mark a little bit unknowingly, like totally trying to be a great friend, just still miss the mark a little bit. And that's one of the things you will feel. I mean, we go in depth, like you will see an anaphylactic reaction that we shot, and you'll definitely, your heart is going to be opened, your eyes are going to be opened, and it will change you.
Okay. Well, I am fully ready to dive into this.
Same.
What about
I'm
you?
excited.
Have you done this before, Jen?
I've done VR, but I haven't done like an experience like this.
Is there in this experience, I'm assuming there's multiple things that stick with you. Is there one that just kind of stands out? I'm trying to prep myself here a little bit, if you can tell. Or should we just go for it?
I think you should just go for it.
All right, we'll do that. So let's do it.
Let's do it.
I've been given a chance to go back and see my birthday party through Zach's eyes.
And I've been given a chance to see it through Lydia's eyes.
It was just a couple of peanuts.
All right. Wow. I want to sit with that for a second.
Yeah.
Right. All right, Genevieve, let's start with you. I'm a little stunned here. From a behavioral health perspective, and just as who you are,
Yeah.
as a human, right? What stood out to you?
So, your first instinct is to, kids are so mean and that kid is so mean, all of these things. And the truth is, usually it's just kids not knowing, or it's kids not having the skills or like conflict resolution or the ability to like work together. And all of that is taught, all that is learned. And so you watch it play out and it has like really, huge ramifications in that instance. But that's an interaction. If you take out the peanuts, that stuff happens every day between kids, not getting along or not understanding or feeling like you're defending one friend and hurting someone else. So when you're in it, your first instinct is, oh, that's so mean, or they don't understand him. But there's also probably 2 other kids that are not being understood or that don't have the information to understand.
Did you notice anything physically?
Yeah.
That was going on?
Yeah. It was like, the tension of it and just, like you wish as like an adult that is often coming into kids' situations and rolling it out for them. Hey, this is what's really going on. I wanted to like pause it and be like, wait. We can understand each other and we can fix this before it even, and you can't in the film. So you're just kind of watching it unfold.
I'm embedded in the mix, right? I'm playing all roles in this thing. I'm just an observer. I am actually on that end and this end. And is this the typical reaction you see when people take off their headsets and they get that far into it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. It hits everybody differently. We have had some food allergy people go into it that live with food allergies, and they've come out of it crying. And just because of, I think, everything in the years I've went through, I was like, my initial reaction is always, what offended you? Which sounds terrible, but it's true. Like, I feel like we're always feeling like we're upsetting people or trying to like navigate our way. And this person in particular was crying, and she's like, this is my life. And I'm so excited that somebody is going to be able to step into my shoes and feel like what everyday life is like for me. And it's like, wow, this is making an impact.
I actually love the, like what offended you, because empathy is uncomfortable, right? Like sitting with the feelings of someone else, sitting with the experience of someone else. It's not meant to be comfortable. If it is, you're probably not doing it right.
Yeah. And
so that offense, that uncomfort, like that's what you can teach, right? Like it's okay to sit with something that doesn't feel good. And it's not natural, right? We have to work at it. And the younger we start, the easier that can become.
And in a way, like Sam, if you look at it from a different angle, Sam was feeling empathy for Lydia.
Yeah.
Like her feelings had been hurt. She went to all this work. She'd done all this trouble. And he, in his mind, was standing up for her. I mean, he reacted very impulsively, obviously,
yes.
But that's a different type and a different angle of it all too, that people don't necessarily think of, because I see, Zach with the food allergy, like the empathy that way, right. But it is both sides.
Absolutely.
Multiple characters in there. And that. What's it, Genevieve, what's the difference between knowing something is hard for something or for someone and actually understanding it enough to change how we act?
Yeah. So I think, when you think of empathy, that is the highest level of executive function. It's hard. That's harder than organization. It's harder than memorization, like all of the things that schools thrive for. The hardest executive skill is empathy, right? So when you're practicing it, there's a difference between sitting in it and feeling a feeling and then being willing to take action and turning that into compassion. So, when we talk in, before and after our youth programming, camp, all of those spaces, it's those lived experiences of what can we do to be a helper, or what can we do with this feeling that you now have, like that maybe someone else has experienced, or that understanding that you have of someone else. And what can we do to be a helper? What does it look like to move from, I understand that there's a difference, or that, this is hard for them, to I want to alleviate just a little piece of that, or I want to be a part of the solution. And so that becomes the compassion piece and the action piece that we talk about. And a lot of it has to be taught too. So that for us looks like social and emotional learning. So we're going to give them opportunities to figure out what it's like to be the helper in conflict resolution, to be the helper in if a child is having to sit at an allergy table. What does that look like where they're included? If they can't be included in that moment, what spaces can they be included in? How do what can we do to extend that past just sitting with the feeling and doing something about it?
I think this where the why story connects here with this, right? And just strong connection to the why. I use that connection word on purpose. We're with kids every day, right? I mean, before and after school camps, swim lessons, sports, teen programs. I mean, we're embedded with kids, and it seems like every day kids are learning or attempting to learn how to manage big feelings, the friendships. You mentioned conflict resolution earlier, right? One of the biggest, and just differences in belonging. So when you start talking about teaching empathy to kids, where do you start?
Yeah. So I think a lot of times, a lot of the empathy is invisible, right? So food allergies, also invisible. Like these things are not things that you can see. So sometimes you have to make it tangible for kids. And so something that we often start is talking about like glasses, for example. Mark, you've got glasses on that are helping you achieve the same goal in being on this podcast as I have, and I don't have glasses. That doesn't make you any different from me in getting this job done or completing this task, but you have a tool that is helping you. And so when we start talking about empathy and program, when you bring 30, 60, 90 kids into a camp, there's going to be so many differences and lots of tools that are needed. And for food allergies, that is the avoiding of things. The tool is not having something that someone else has that can't be visibly seen as easily for kids. So when we talk to them about glasses, like, hey, just like someone needs glasses and someone else doesn't, there's lots of things that people may need to be safe, to have a good camp experience that you may not need. So our camp experience is going to be different for everyone, but that's okay. And that's great. That's what makes camp so unique is we get to make this space for everybody and it's still our space. And kids are really receptive when you just have that conversation and it's tangible. They can see glasses. They can understand, oh yeah, I don't need glasses. And they're used to people having glasses.
Right. Andy, what's important about adults having the ability to model and teach this? That's a loaded question.
That is very much so. I feel like oftentimes a lot of the biggest obstacles we've faced are not the kids themselves. I feel like most of the times the kids have been the most empathetic towards my son and other children who live with unique circumstances. They get it. They want their friend to be there. They want their friend to be safe. A lot of times it's the behind the scenes, the parents. So I feel like having adults watch this film and to understand what real life is like, it is going to change their life and open their world to views that they haven't been open to before.
In the world that you've lived with your son, how has support like that with other parents been? I mean, I'm assuming there's all sorts of support.
Right.
Maybe there's not.
We've been lucky. We've had some very amazing families, but we've also had some families that don't understand why they can't bring their birthday cookie or their celebration cookie into the party and why their child has to miss out on that one cookie for that one event compared to my child never being able to have it or has never eaten a donut in his entire life, So the support when we do have it is amazing. And, on sports teams, when they get it and they keep him safe and, it means the world to us.
Not having a donut for your entire life is probably a blessing. It's probably a blessing.
Probably so, but when they see the sprinkles and the frosting,
Yeah, which is a very signature moment on your poster for this movie.
It is, and
awesome.
that's why. Yes.
I think that's like thinking about, when you were talking about impulse control for Sam, like how much impulse control does it take? You're saying they have to mature so much faster. Yeah. Like all those executive skills of impulse control, not doing the thing that seems tempting, advocating for yourself, saying, I'm not going to have that. Those are skills that take so much time and kids struggle to develop. And then we ask these kids in these situations to have those so much sooner. And I think it would be beneficial if adults were more aware of what they can do to model that, to make it less uncomfortable for kids or to make the avenue for that faster. Because they're asked to do things that, developmentally they're not ready to do.
Well, and we've found that children like this are also the most empathetic. So I know we've had situations where I've been told in conferences, like, there was a child with a unique circumstance that was sitting alone and your son went and volunteered to be his partner. Yeah. And I fully believe it's because he's had this obstacle in his life and he understands and he doesn't like to be alone and he wants to be included in everything. And it's helped him to reciprocate that to other kids.
Genevieve, you talked a little bit about some of these skills that kids can practice empathy. Can you run through a couple of those for me?
Yeah. So, I mean, when we talk about social emotional learning and building empathy, there's a lot that goes into that. Like that encompasses teaching conflict resolution.
Could be a whole other podcast.
Yeah, it really could.
Sure.
It really could. Because it's, conflict resolution. Kids are together and they're going to have to navigate that without being impulsive, without pulling, a Sam and making a decision that's hurtful or hurting someone or name calling, all those things. There's ways to communicate your needs. And he could be, standing up for Lydia without being hurtful if he had conflict resolution, right? So, but that's a taught skill. So you can practice that through role play. There's, just empathy, seeing something from someone else's perspective. There's the ability to understand character words and development and who you are and choice.
Respecting differences.
Absolutely. And that comes from understanding that, choice and free will and all of those things help us make spaces that are different and inclusive all at the same time. So through those social emotional learning lessons that we're doing in program, they have small moments to practice that in a tangible way. So, whether it's making a rocket and they practice shooting off the rocket and realizing what makes you flip your lid, everyone has different things that makes you kind of shoot off like a rocket. And they're, maybe doing some steam and they're doing some exploring, but they're also thinking about what is it that is different for me that is hard. And it might be completely different for every single kid that's there, but they all get to experience that they have the similarity of all losing their cool, right? Yeah. So you find the similarities and it all ends up coming back to empathy and seeing each other with inclusion and with that whole heart.
Yeah. Mandi, we've talked about food allergies being invisible. Anxiety can be invisible.
Yeah.
Grief can be invisible. A lot of children are carrying things that are invisible. This is on the adult side again. All these things that kids carry, and we're trying to help them see what they can't see. How do you do that?
Well, if I had the whole answer,
I'd
be writing books and off living on an island. But I think how we start to do that is through modeling, right? Yeah. So it's through those moments where you get to call that out and say, hey, here's an opportunity. I'm gonna talk you through this, and you have to live it. So a lot of the times, everyone says, "Oh, you must be so good with kids that when you work in behavior work, oh, you got to love the rowdy ones." Of course I do, right? But I actually love working with adults because adults are the game changers, right? So my work isn't to go and support a child. My work is to go teach the adult that's closest with them to see them in a way that they can support them. So because it comes from modeling, it comes from those connections, it comes from modeling, reaching out that hand with a child that has autism or that has larger behaviors or is really reactive because they have a lot of trauma. It starts with connection and it starts with believing that they can handle something or that they can do it differently. So it's funny, as the behavior person, I was watching Sam more than anyone because that's the kid that you can make an impact with. I can't fix the allergy, but I can teach Sam that there's a better way to interact and express yourself. I can help him realizing that he can defend Lydia and be an ally and a support for, everyone in the room. So I think it's just interesting to think. So that's what you do is you look at people with a whole heart, including the ones that are pressing your buttons.
And the best part is at the end of the film, I know you didn't get to watch the whole thing, but it does come full circle. And Sam does learn. And it's like an awe moment, which, to help those who are in the headset watching, that moment does come around where he's like, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, like you said, kids naturally want to be empathic. They want to work together. We live in community for a reason. And camps are those community spaces of little people, which just makes them super fun and exciting. But they naturally want that. And it's typically adults modeling that gets in the way when that doesn't happen. And so it is our job as adults to model that differently and to teach those skills and to have empathy when they're missing, right? Mm-hmm. To say, oh, oops, that wasn't the best way to handle that. And here's how you can do it next time.
Mandi, back to the donut. And I mean, I think about helping kids understand, because you said your son, I mean, he sees everybody else, and it comes back to life's not fair.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, how do you explain that to your child that this is the way it is? And again, I mean, maybe that's still an ongoing process, right? As he discovers new things that may be, barriers in life. So I mean, how do we help children understand that? And that's a question maybe for both of you again.
I think that's so hard, and it's something we're still working through. I mean, it's just kind of, I'm sorry, this is just the kind of the hand you've been dealt.
Yeah.
I know his latest one that had happened, that he isn't going to be able to do something. And he's like, that really hurts. I'm like, yeah, it does. But I mean, unfortunately, it's the cards you've been dealt, and there will be other avenues and other paths and other things you can do.
Things can always be worse.
They can always be worse. The worst thing is never the last.
And I think it's also, that's emotional regulation at its finest, right? So being able to feel something and know that maybe you can't change it. Maybe there's no need to change it. I can just feel hurt. I can truly be sad that this isn't going to work, or that I can't have this, and I don't have to change it. And so we talk about that with kids a lot too. Like, how do you identify the feeling? And do you have a choice? Is there something that you can do to move through it and embrace it and move on? Or do you want to sit with it? Because that's okay too. If you want to sit in sad, you can sit in sad. And it's okay to be sad for a little bit. And then when you're ready, is there something you want to do to move through that emotion? So like at camp, that looks like calm spots or some tools. Like, is there something you want to do to switch that emotion, or do you want some space to feel it? And again, that's a taught skill too, so that when he gets to the situation as like an adult getting older and all those things, like you have the skill to say, yeah, I have the right to feel this emotion. I don't have to do anything to change it.
Mandi, what do you hope kids without food allergies understand after seeing this film?
I hope they understand what life is like, what real daily life is like for somebody who has food allergies. And maybe they start to think a little bit more, like when they go out for dinner, going to an inclusive place where the food allergy child can go and be included in the group. Or, I mean, just little everyday life, like to think before they speak, maybe make it more aware, maybe ask the question beforehand, where would you like to go? What can we do to make you feel comfortable and included? Maybe wash your hands, don't eat peanuts around them, like whatever the case shall be. It's different on a case-by-case situation. I think just for them to truly understand what it's really like.
How do you, this is a question for both of you, Genevieve first, maybe, when you're in a camp setting or a school setting, or you talked about some place and space where you're creating safe spaces, right? How do you do that without singling out kids?
Yeah, and I think, going back to the glasses analogy, you make it normal to be different.
Yeah.
So we're not calling out just this one child for having an allergy. We're talking about everyone and their needs. We all need different things. And some of that is adult modeling. And it's like, today I need to take 5 minutes before I can help you with that, right? That's an adult modeling of a need and, or those kinds of things. It's normalizing all of the different ways that kids show up and making that approachable and understandable in camp. It's realizing that the kindergartner in camp is going to need something different than the fifth grader. And it's on the fifth grader to know that. And it's on the kindergartner to know that. And it's okay to talk about it and have feelings when the activity isn't for you. But there are activities for you, and we're all going to be a part of camp, regardless of our differences. And I think that's one, through conversation, and mainly through adult modeling. And then letting them know that there's actions to be more inclusive. So we're not going to do that because our group has, these friends in it and they have a different need. So our activity is going to look like this. And we just talk it out. And you'd be surprised when you model it and you don't model it. And I know you really wanted to, but we're going to do something different, because if you just make it normal and like, this is just what it is, and you're energetic about it and you believe in it, most kids, they want to be inclusive. They want to see that
everybody wins.
Yeah. So it's usually when it fails, when the glasses analogy fails or when the inclusion fails, it's 9 times out of 10, it's the adult in the room that didn't buy in first.
Correct. 100%. Like you nailed that 100%. I was thinking of the analogy, like a lot of times we ask people to wash their hands, or like wipes, like we used to use baby wipes at school and making it, this is for the health too. Like this is for everybody to maintain healthy, instead of making it, we're doing this because of the food allergy kid. Like, that's the reason we are wiping our hands or washing our hands so we don't get peanut butter everywhere.
I think you should just tell them kids are germy.
Yeah.
Wipe your hands. You're sticky. Most likely you're sticky. You're at camp. You're probably sticky with something.
100%.
Take a wipe.
Just wash your hands.
And then it's not, wash your hands, take a wipe.
That's why this partnership feels so meaningful. At the Y, we're not just interested in awareness. We're interested in what awareness can become, right? I mean, it's learning, compassion, having a conversation, and including everybody in that conversation and action. Mandi, what does this partnership with the YMCA, how it makes sense, just working together?
It makes sense because we are all about helping kids and families feel more included, creating kindness and awareness about the special circumstances. And you guys are at the core of it all. Like, you have these families that come to you every day in your camps and your activities and programs. And we love the fact that we can partner with you to make it more inclusive and kind for all.
Yeah. Well, I feel blessed to be on this Y journey, honestly, because we are one of the only Ys that has like a behavior team doing this intervention work. We've had great partnerships to be able to maintain that. But the reason we're doing it is because these spaces, childcare spaces, camp spaces, gyms, sports, they can't be for just some kids. They really need to be for all kids. And that's not just for the benefit of the kid that brings the difference. That's the benefit of our entire community. We're all in this. And so being able to have training available, being able to have learning that is happening, to prioritize social emotional learning, like, that is an advantage that a lot of Ys, a lot of programming in our community doesn't have right now. And so I just feel like blessed to be on the journey to be able to bring that, to be a part of that as we go. And I know it means that we get to service more children. We're looking for ways to be more inclusive of all things from behaviors to learning disabilities to, all sorts of different needs. And that's, a great thing to be able to just say before you lay your head down every night.
Yeah.
Well, and being inclusive, you talked about, being an inclusive program for all. That is truly where empathy comes from.
Yeah.
When you do open the doors and have it inclusive for everybody of all different types, abilities, everything, that's where the empathy is going to come from.
The original Y mission statement, that's how it ended for all. And so it full circle for us as well with this conversation. And, we've put the word inclusive into the mission statement. We put it in about 20 years ago. So it is remarkable that we do have, and we have a fabulous behavioral health team. And they are working hard every day, and we wish we had more, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing is, this work is underfunded and it's highly needed. And awareness is underfunded and highly needed. And so when you live in these empathy pockets, this is how we change the world. I will stand on that. It is from living experiences and sharing experiences with others. And it's always needed. We always need more. Always need more.
Mandi, tell me about the empathy engine.
So our empathy engine is a new product that we have launched. We're still building it, of course, but it is at its core. We have a core program that's the empathy engine, and then we have all the branches that come off it, which are our films. So we educate you on what it's like to feel, what it's like to bring people together, and then what it's like for these people living with unique circumstances. And whether it be diabetes, Down syndrome, anxiety and depression, food allergies now, it is a program that can go into schools, workplaces, community groups, healthcare systems, and to help to educate all adults, children, grandparents, all the above, on empathy and how to be more caring and kind to those living with those circumstances.
I want to close with one more question for each of you. But we talked about empathy, storytelling, food allergies, behavioral health, invisible needs, belonging, and the list is on and on. But somebody watching or listening, I want to bring it back to something really simple for them. So from each one of you, what's a small thing each of us can do today to become more compassionate humans?
I am thinking just be open. Open your mind. Don't be, a lot of times I think people immediately, in regards to food allergies and in a lot of these conditions, immediately hear the word and they roll their eyes, or there's the stigma that's automatically there. Just be open. Be open to stepping into their shoes, feeling what they feel, and maybe making a little change that might make it better for everybody.
Yeah. And I think in the big picture, empathy sometimes gets misconstrued into this unicorn optimism, you have to be a true empath And that's not what empathy is. It's honestly just getting to neutral and saying that someone else's perspective isn't about you and they're welcome to it and that you're going to be inclusive of it. So when you have those judgmental thoughts, when you think about rolling your eyes because you don't understand that circumstance, just get to neutral. You don't have to, because neutral is where we take action. It's that their life is different than yours and that there's room for both. And one is not better than the other. One is not more normal than the other. So you don't have to make this massive jump to suddenly being this, empath, unicorn, optimist, glass always full person. You just have to get to neutral where there's room for their life and yours at the exact same time. And it's okay that that's uncomfortable.
There's so many things I want to follow up with that. And you're exactly right. I mean, I don't think you could say it any better than that, Genevieve, on so many factors in the world that we live in today. Today's conversation reminds us that empathy is not passive. It's not just simply feeling sorry for someone. Empathy asks something of us. It asks us to listen, to learn, to pause, to make space, and to choose to help. I love that. Through May Contain, My Life, Just Like You Films is helping people to step into a story they may not otherwise understand. I know I did today. And through our work at the YMCA, we have the opportunity to help children, families, adults practice these lessons in real life, in our programs, in our camps, in our schools, and throughout our community. Mandi, Genevieve, thank you for helping us think differently about empathy today and inclusion and what that means to care for one another. And I just love how you both wrapped it up today. And to everyone watching or listening, sometimes the first step toward becoming a better human is taking the time to understand what someone else is carrying. And to learn more about the YMCA of Greater Kansas City and our work in youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility, visit ymca.org, Kansas City YMCA.org. I'll get that straight. And stay motivated, stay connected, and keep moving forward with us in the movement. Together, we're building a stronger community, one story at a time.
Thank you for joining us on The Movement. If today's conversation inspired you, connect with your local YMCA and explore all the ways you can get involved in your community. Together, we're building stronger families, healthier lives, and a more connected Kansas City. The Y, where Kansas City connects. Thank you for listening to The Movement.